Right now, an update on the federal investigation launched against the Saratoga Springs School District over its outspoken commitment to DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. In an exclusive interview, the Saratoga School Superintendent is speaking out, and he's doing so with the backing of the New York State Education Department. This as DEI continues to become highly controversial. How should schools and workplaces across the capital region handle the changing guidance, and what are the political and legal implications? 13 investigates the battle over DEI.
When I stand before you today to urge you to hold your position.
Passionate words from Saratoga Springs High School senior Jack Millis.
Opposing diversity, equity, or inclusion is sickening to your fellow humankind. How dare you oppose something like that?
This intense meeting resulted in the school board passing a resolution reaffirming its commitment to DEI, saying, quote, "We reject intolerant rhetoric or actions that undermine each and every student's right to a free and fair education." The move caught the attention of North Country Republican Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, who calls this a violation of President Trump's executive orders. She requested the U.S. Department of Education open an investigation. The Secretary of Education responded, sending notice in early May to the Saratoga School Superintendent.
I think Saratoga Springs has a long, proud history of celebrating the diversity of our students.
Superintendent Dr. Michael Patton, speaking exclusively about this, says that resolution that the school board passed did not include anything new.
The resolution was basically to confirm the board's commitment to all of the policies that we have in place.
Dr. Patton says he promptly responded to the notice, saying the school district is following all New York state laws. And no response since then?
Nope, we did file a response back to the U.S. Department of Education by May 21st, which was their deadline. And as of today, we haven't heard a response.
What could possibly happen from this?
We're not too sure. But at this time, we, again, are mandated to continue to follow the laws in New York State.
We stand with Saratoga, who has not done anything wrong.
Daniel Morton Bentley is the New York State Department of Education General Counsel and Deputy Commissioner. In addition to working with Saratoga schools in its investigation, State Ed also had to respond to another mandate from Washington, which asked every state education department in the country to end DEI programs in public schools or risk the loss of federal funding.
We responded promptly. The following day, together with leadership, we responded to say, no, we won't be giving you the requested certification.
One thing you said within the response was, let's be clear, not to conflate policy with law.
Yes, a lot of these are policy statements, but they have the trappings of law. They're on big dinner menus. They have official signatures.
Morton Bentley says DEI is rooted in New York state law, and it became part of State Ed's policy statement in 2021.
We won't back down just because it's politically unpopular.
There has been this ongoing battle with the threat of funding being withheld. Saratoga Springs, for instance, an example of that. You've been quite outspoken. What are your thoughts on that now as we are here in the middle of summer?
I do not support DEI programming. The purpose of education is not to radicalize and do a partisan type of education. It's about math, reading, science. Parents understand they don't want DEI. They want science, technology, reading, writing, math.
Of the United States. So help me God. So help me God.
The battle over DEI has intensified with President Donald Trump signing a series of executive orders at the start of this year, pushing to bring an end to DEI programs.
Here's a big deal, merit. Our country is going to be based on merit again. Can you believe it?
For several years now, Capital Region companies, both big and small, have been overt about talking about DEI. But when I reached out to many of those companies asking for an interview for this story, I either got turned down or got no reply at all. In fact, one company even said, "We want nothing to do with talking about DEI right now." How does tangible development define DEI?
You know, we define it with how does your workforce, your people power, your people experience your workplace.
Tangible Development is a DEI consulting firm based in Latham. They work with companies all over the capital region, gathering and analyzing data of employees from all different walks of life and providing recommendations to improve recruitment, performance, and retention.
What can we do in this organization that's going to create an environment where people can succeed?
CEO Sujatha Chaudhry says her business grew nearly 300% after the brutal killing of George Floyd. But now, 5 years later, business has changed.
When all these executive orders came out, we started getting calls from executives and talking to them about what does it mean to do this DEI culture inclusion work.
They were calling, sharing concern to continue the work?
Continue the work or not to continue the work. You know, with all these executive orders, it is a little more risky.
Sort of been able to command all the attention in the court.
To talk more about that risk, we turn to Albany Law School professor Stephen Clark.
Should companies be worried about talking about DEI, promoting that they have programs and initiatives that support it? Should companies be worried at all right now?
Yes. I mean, they're really between a rock and a hard place. They are bound by anti-discrimination laws. If harassment happens, they're liable.
Professor Clark explains there is incentive in the law for companies to try to prevent harassment claims before they happen. He says that's where eliminating DEI within the workplace could pose some risk.
If you're so afraid to mention identities or history of discrimination or interactions between people and friction and those sorts of things that DEI addresses, that you allow the harassment claims to emerge, then you're opening yourself up to liability because you haven't been proactive enough.
In addition to legal implications, what are the political implications of the very DEI approaches from state to state right now?
Hey, Ron. Nice to have you here. Thank you so much.
Political science expert Dr. Ron Seib says what we're seeing right now is a patchwork framework with essentially 50 different approaches to DEI.
That means your constitutional rights vary based on where you live.
Dr. Seib says this creates confusion and works against the rule of law, with more executive orders being used to rescind the previous administration's policies instead of Congress working to pass legislation.
As Congress remains kind of feckless and anemic, therefore the president's going to grow in power, right? And the courts are going to grow in importance too. And so we really have this kind of two-branch government right now.
A lack of balance.
Oh, very much a lack of balance. We are very much unbalanced right now, and we're very much dependent on the courts.
It's important to point out, so far, New York State has not lost any federal funding for education due to DEI, but the state did lose federal funding at the end of June, which was just reinstated last week. Yeah. So it is this constant battle of what may happen down the road.
Yeah, it's good reporting there, and I commend the school district in Saratoga Springs, who was caught in the center of all this, for talking to you about that.
And stood their ground based on their beliefs.
Also find it striking that businesses didn't want to chat with you these days about that.
Yes, yeah, it was striking, but still the conversation hopefully continues.
Yes.